Brett Veach did it again, ladies and gentlemen. He had a fantastic offseason. And on today's show, we are going to recap the top moves the Chiefs made, from trades to free agency, the draft. We'll go over all of it, and we'll give you our grades for each and every big move the Chiefs made. We'll have that for you coming up in just a bit. Before we do, if you guys have been following this show the last couple of weeks, we have told you about this AFC Championship rematch sub-battle that we are doing with Bill's Breakdown. Bill's Breakdown, one of our newest channels here at Chat Sports. Tyler Smith and company running things over there. They want to take us down, and they want Bill's Mafia to stick it to the Chiefs' kingdom. That is not happening on my watch, folks. I need you to stop whatever you're doing and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on everything happening with your Kansas City Chiefs, from our daily news and rumors to our live shows every Tuesday, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. It's your one-stop shop for all things Chiefs. The most interactive Chiefs channel on YouTube. Doesn't cost you a thing. Subscribe now, youtube.com/ChiefsTV, and we'll get started with today's show. Brett Veach did it again. This guy is a magician, and he was dealt a tough hand entering this offseason with not a ton of cap space, a lot of expiring contracts, and yet the guy still made it work for this Chiefs team in 2025. Based on the decisions that he made and the changes that occurred, I have every reason to think that this team is going to be just as good, if not better, than what they were in 2024, getting to the Super Bowl. Let's go over these moves. We'll start with Trey Smith, the offensive guard. It seemed impossible at one point, the idea of Trey Smith returning to the Kansas City Chiefs. But where there's a Veach, there's a way. And after the news came out, the salary cap was going up much higher than anticipated. They put the franchise tag on Trey Smith for 2025, and he's expected to get a long-term contract and be here for a while. No-brainer decision. And the franchise tag wasn't nearly as high as what the projections were. I think it was a very smart move. I got to go with an A on franchise tagging Trey Smith. Then Nick Bolton. He was also re-signed to a new deal that will keep him in Kansas City to 2027. And it was very fair for the Kansas City Chiefs to pay Nick Bolton that money. They didn't have to break the bank compared to what he could have gotten on the open market. They signed him before free agency officially began. He's one of the best middle linebackers in all of football. You got him locked up for the prime years of his career. Easy call by Brett Veach. I got to go with an A on that as well. Other moves for the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe Thuney was traded. I'll go with a B on the Joe Thuney trade. I think that with Joe Thuney, as much as I love the guy, I understand why he was traded. I wish they could have found a way for him to stay. But as the old adage goes, you'd rather trade a player a year too early than a player a year too late. And Brett Veach said he had no choice. And there was talk about him potentially getting cut. So even though I hated saying goodbye, I understood why. I wish you could have gotten more, so that's why I'll go with a B on the Joe Thuney trade. Hollywood Brown was re-signed. Cheap contract. I know he didn't do a whole lot last year as he was injured most of the season, but to me, that's a solid A to bring back Hollywood Brown. Don't know exactly what his role is going to look like, but you're one injury away from needing a lot out of Hollywood Brown. We'll go with an A there. Jalen Moore at the offensive tackle / offensive guard spot. We don't know for certain what position he will play just yet. Kind of depends on how things go with Kingsley and Josh Simmons. But either way, I would expect that Jalen Moore is going to start in some way, shape, or form. I'm going with an A on him, although there are some hesitations. The fact that he hasn't started a whole lot, but if he performs well, that could look like a major discount compared to other players at his position. Elijah Mitchell, a teammate of Jalen Moore with the San Francisco 49ers. I'll go with a B with his signing. He's had a lot of injury issues, did not play at all in 2024, but you didn't have to pay him a ton of money. He should come in and have a role within this offense. People are saying that it's kind of similar to when they signed Jerick McKinnon a few years ago. I'll go with a B. It's not my favorite signing, but it's one I can live with. Christian Fulton also signed from the LA Chargers. He should compete for one of the starting outside corner roles. He was paid a pretty fair amount. You also get some flexibility now when it comes to Trent McDuffie, potentially moving him to the nickelback spot. You got Nohl Williams, Jalen Watson there. This corner room's got depth, and they got some starting caliber pieces. To me, that's an easy A. Shout out Emma Stone. I think it was brilliant on the part of Kansas City. And you made the LA Chargers, one of your division rivals, weaker in the process as well. How would you grade the Chiefs offseason? It's our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know. A, B, C, D, or F. Chime in and tell me what your grade would be for the Kansas City Chiefs offseason in 2025. Gardner Minshew signed to be the backup quarterback. I got to go with an A on this. Gardner Minshew has shown that he's more than capable of being a quality backup. And if, God forbid, something happens to Patrick Mahomes, Gardner Minshew is going to be more than ready to step up if his name is called in a game or two situation. I think he's an upgrade from Carson Wentz, and I like the fit. And not to mention, good team guy, not a distraction as your backup quarterback either. Kareem Hunt re-signed. I'll give this a B+. I like Kareem Hunt. I'm glad he's back. I'm very happy that he gets the chance still to go for his first Super Bowl ring. But could you have done better than Kareem Hunt? You didn't spend a whole lot, and he kind of showed some mileage there at the end of the season. With that all said, I'll go B+. Jerry Tillery comes in as a backup defensive lineman. I think he's a good depth piece. You didn't pay him a ton either. I'll go with an A. Juju Smith-Schuster is back. He's re-signed. I'll go with a B on this. I think with Juju, you can expect him to perform well for a game or two, but he has been notorious for lots of mistakes that he makes. He's had some injury issues as well. I think a B is a fair grade, especially since you didn't pay him a ton of money. Mike Pennell will give a grade of an A on his signing. Pennell is a solid piece. You didn't pay a lot for him. You helped that defensive line. Now you got some real depth on the defensive line. I like having Mike Pennell back. And then another one for you. Let's go Charles Omenihu here real quick. $7 million for 1 year. He was hoping to get paid more money elsewhere. Didn't quite work out for Charles Omenihu on the open market like he was hoping for. But Charles Omenihu was a difference maker. Although the stats didn't show a whole lot in 2024, we saw collectively this defense, the pass rushers got a lot better when Charles Omenihu got healthy. I'll give it A for bringing back Omenihu. What was your favorite offseason move made by the Kansas City Chiefs this offseason? If you had to name one thing, what would it be and why? Chime in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Mike Caliendo, the love child of Frank Caliendo, he was re-signed, and you didn't pay him a ton of money. I give an A on this. Caliendo, outside of the Super Bowl, did a really good job stepping in at the left guard spot. I don't expect him to start this season, but he's proven his worth that he can be a very capable backup offensive lineman. Mike Edwards making his return to Kansas City. He was pretty good the 1 year that he was here. He's won 2 Super Bowl titles with the Bucs and the Chiefs. We'll go B+ here because I'm not certain at this age how much he has exactly left in the tank. Let's go to the draft picks now. Josh Simmons, this was an A for a number of reasons. You traded down, you got some draft capital, and still got the player you wanted. You filled a big need, and you got maybe the best offensive lineman in this draft. He had the injury concerns, I understand, but the Chiefs feel like he's going to be just fine. There were some teams that said he had some character issues, and that's why he slid in the draft, but the Chiefs have a way of doing things, and you either got to shit or get off the pot. And I think Josh Simmons is going to figure that out pretty quickly here. I think it was a great pick for Kansas City, and whether it's the left tackle spot or the right tackle spot, he's going to be a starting tackle for many years to come. Might have to start at guard, but we'll see. I thought Simmons was a great pick for KC. Omarr Norman-Lott, drafted in the second round. I'll give a B+ to this. I like that they helped out the defensive line situation that needed some depth. Omarr Norman-Lott, though, I'll go B+. Although I liked him more than other people did, there were some that thought that it was a bit of a reach, that Kansas City drafted him maybe too high compared to what his talent worth was, and he was never a full-time starter at Tennessee. They had a ton of guys there. He was a rotational piece, but I think what fits for Kansas City is the fact he won't be asked to be a starter, at least not right away anyway. I'll go with a B+. My least favorite draft pick from Brett Veach was the selection of Ashton Gillotte, the edge rusher out of Louisville. I give this one a C. His sacks were way down year to year this past season. His pressure rate stayed pretty much the same. But as John Gruden will tell you, I'm not looking for a guy to get pressures. That doesn't do much for me. I want guys that can bring the quarterback down. Ashton Gillotte's got a lot of potential. He was well liked by a lot of teams in the pre-draft process, but I think you probably could have done better than Ashton Gillotte, in my humble opinion. I'll go with a C. But if that's the worst you did in the draft, I think by all means, Brett Veach did a very good job. Now, here's the million-dollar question. With everything the Chiefs did, and I believe this team is better than they were last year, do you believe this team is better than what they were last year? You got two options here. Type Y for yes, N for no. I'm typing Y for yes. Chime in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Let's talk more draft picks here. Let's go to Nohl Williams, drafted out of Cal. 7 interceptions last year. This was maybe my favorite draft pick the Chiefs made. I'm going with an A. I think he's got a chance to compete right away for a starting role at outside corner. Extremely productive. Doesn't make sense to me why he slipped as much as he did, but I think it was a fantastic pickup for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll go A. Jalen Royals, arguably the most talked about player of the Chiefs draft class, and he's been so good and expectations are so high that he might work his way into the starting lineup immediately, despite how crowded that receiver room is. He can stretch the field vertically. He can be a good slot option as well. The guy can do it all, and there was extreme value getting him when they did in the 4th round. I'll go with an A. Jeffery Bassa, the linebacker from Oregon, 5th-round pick. This was another head-scratcher for me of why he slipped as much as he did. He was a second-team All-Big Ten selection, very high football IQ. He's also outstanding in coverage, which is not something you can say about Nick Bolton. As much as I love Nick Bolton, Bassa should be able to come in and help out on those coverage down situations. I thought it was a terrific pickup to get him. I'll go with an A. And then the last player the Chiefs drafted, they traded up to get this guy, Trey Smith, running back out of SMU. And I can't say enough positive things about Trey Smith. Not only was he a good find to still be available in the 7th round, but he fits what you were looking for. He is a fast running back that has the acceleration to get upfield, offering something different than what you had in Pacheco and Hunt. He's also a terrific pass catcher, a former receiver at Miami before he was at SMU. And then on top of that, too, Brett Veach said in the pre-draft process, they were looking, if they were going to draft a running back, and they made it known they were going to draft a running back, they wanted somebody they can use on special teams. And Trey Smith has extensive experience as a kick returner in rookie minicamp. He was already used in the punt return coverage. I thought it was a fantastic pick. I'll go with an A there. So you can see the grades, very kind to Brett Veach of the job that he did. Speaking of all those draft picks, who was your favorite draft pick the Kansas City Chiefs made? If you had to choose one player, who would it be and why? Give me your thoughts in the comment section below of who that one player is. The Chiefs entered this offseason with their backs against the wall, with not having a ton in salary cap space, with having a lot of players on expiring contracts, and Veach delivered. You think about it. You pretty much, the only impact players that you're moving on from are Joe Thuney and Justin Reed. And I think you made the most of what you could with moving on from Joe Thuney, and you don't have to pay him that money anymore. So I think that worked out well. And in the case of Justin Reed's a fine football player. Wish him nothing but the best in New Orleans. But Jaden Hicks, I think, is going to be even better than what Justin Reed was last year. So Brett Veach, he did it again. He delivered in this team. I mean, as Bill Self would say, faces change, but expectations don't. And the faces have changed. They've improved. And this team should be right back up there competing with the best of the best for another Super Bowl title in 2025. My overall grade, I'm going with an A. This was an A offseason for Brett Veach. He knocked it out of the park. and I cannot wait to see what this team does going forward from here. For continuing Chiefs coverage, subscribe now to the Kansas City Chiefs Report, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Lock us in for free. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.